Alright, hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name's Tony. I'm here doing Golf with Your Friends with my sister Holly, and we are talking about various topics. Today it is lost friendships. Last time we did Holly's lost friendships, now we are doing mine. Okay, hello?
Hello.
Hello. Okay, so we are talking about lost friendships and what we learned from them. Last time we did all of Holly's. I don't know if I have as many, but I will, well, you know what? Actually, I can think of a few. Okay, so my very first one, because I don't, like, I had friends in elementary school, but none of them that were, like, super, super, super close besides Jennifer and Shannon. Like, the rest of them were just people that I, like, hung out with in school. And when it comes to friendships, I tend to kind of be like a, like you, like with Autumn and April, where I'm friends with people basically forever.
Yeah.
But I had my friend Shannon, who we became friends in elementary school. I want to say it was like third grade, because it might have been fourth. I don't know. It was elementary school, and we stayed friends until like ninth grade started. Which we're still like acquaintances, like, you know, we're Facebook friends, and if we see each other, we'll say hello, but we're not best friends like we were. But she was in my Girl Scout troop. And the weird thing with me and Shannon is we hung out at Girl Scouts. We were basically inseparable in Girl Scouts. And we hung out after school almost every single weekend, and literally the entirety of the summer we were together almost all the time. But we did not... What?
I was just going to say, I remember this one, this hole. You don't actually have to go up the top, you just go underneath.
Oh, yeah, that's right. But we did not speak or acknowledge each other. Well, in elementary school, we went to different schools. And the Girl Scout troop, like, would just meet at my school, and she would, like, take a bus or something, I think, I don't really know how it worked. I don't know if her parents drove her or if she took a bus, but she would come to my school for Girl Scouts after school. And that's how we met, and that's how we became friends, and we would hang out all the time on the weekends, especially because my other best friend would have to go to her mom's on the weekends, so me and Shannon would just hang out all the time. And but once middle school started, we went to the same school, but because we already had our own, like, established friends in school, we didn't really acknowledge each other in school. Like, you wouldn't know that we were even friends, let alone best friends in school. And neither one of us were, like, offended by it. It was just, we had our own group of friends that we already had hung out with since, like, elementary school, so we just would only hang out outside of school, but we were super close. Well, then when my dad died, I think that it was too hard for her to come to my house, because she tried to come over once or twice, but it was hard for her. Like, my friends were close with my parents. My parents were the kind of people that, like, my friends would call them mom and dad, and, like, it just...
Yeah,
so,
it's like that with my friends too, where, like,
yeah,
they
exactly.
all my mom like a second mother.
Go ahead. And so I think that for Shannon, I think that it became too hard for her to come to our house. And it didn't help that we had started high school, and I had tried out for color guard, and she had tried out for color guard, and she made it and I didn't, and it was mostly because the girls that were in charge of picking color guard thought that I was too poor and not cool enough, and Shannon was not poor and she was cool enough. Yeah, I still to this day don't like those girls, but that's just because they're shitty people. I mean, I hate to say that, but they really are just shitty people. Even as adults. They're the type who, like, would bully a elementary school kid for, like, their weight or their looks or something. You know what I mean? Like, they're those type of women.
Yeah.
They just truly are. Oh, that's a really good picture.
I kind of want to know if I know these women.
I'll tell you their names when we're done, because you have to tell me. Or no, you already texted me the one name. But I have a question. I have a question about the Autumn and April story. I want to know if they're still friends with that girl, and if it's who I think it is.
Oh, okay. And I can also tell you about the person who isn't alive anymore.
Oh yeah, I want to know that too. But anyway, so Shannon and I just kind of drifted apart. It wasn't like any kind of, like, you know, when we saw each other, we'd still smile and say hello, you know. Like, we just kind of drifted apart. She was always too busy hanging out with her new friends, and quite honestly, I'm not sure if I would have noticed. I mean, for all I know, she could have kept trying to hang out with me. She could have been really reaching out, but I started hanging out with a crowd of friends that drank and partied and smoked pot, and
Yeah.
that became my life. So for all I know, in her version, I might have just kind of blew her off. I genuinely don't remember if she tried to keep reaching out and I was just always busy, because back then we didn't have cell phones. So if I was out with my friends, she could have been calling me every weekend wanting to hang out. I genuinely wouldn't know. But so it was kind of a mutual. I found my friends that were very different from her friends. Her friends would have never let me in their pack. I was not cool enough for them. And so that friendship, and from that friendship, I just kind of learned that sometimes friends drift apart, and it's like I said, we're still Facebook friends to this day. I think I went
see
to
each other occasionally.
Yeah, we see each other occasionally. Our daughter, nope, my middle child and her oldest child share the same birthday, just several years apart.
Yeah.
And I mean, I still think she's a great person. I never had any kind of issue with her. She's a wonderful person, but we just, I honestly, like I said, after my dad died, it probably was too much for her, and it was definitely too much for me.
Her daughter's born
Yeah.
years apart from...
2 years, 2 or 3 years, yeah.
Oh, really? Because I know that Heather and Gil lived in that one house, because I remember she was there, like, right before she had her.
They were at a wedding together.
Yeah. But I remember we were there, like, I was there.
Oh, yeah.
I found out that she had her.
Yeah, maybe it might only be, I think it's 2 years, but it might only be like, well, no, it would have to be 2 years. Yeah, okay. I want to say it's a 2-year difference.
They might have just lived in that house for longer than I remember, to be honest.
Oh, yeah. I think they lived there for a couple of years. I don't know. I don't remember. But yeah, so that was like the very first like lost friendship that was really like significant to me. And then really after that, I kind of stuck with the same group of friends for a very long time. And then after that, I would say my other lost friendship would kind of be Becca, because she just moved away.
Yeah.
And she did have her daughter, and we tried to keep in touch, but again, cell phones weren't really a thing, so it was a lot harder.
I know a couple of people who you were friends with who you eventually stopped being friends with for whatever reason.
Okay, who? Because they might be who I was gonna name.
They both start with J.
Oh yeah. I was getting to them. Becca was the next one though. Becca would have been the next significant one. But then I had 2 best friends. It was like these people were like the people that I was always with all the time, and it was Jasmine and Janet. Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah, I didn't know if you were gonna name them.
Oh yeah. Jasmine and Janet.
Yeah, Jasmine and Janet.
Jasmine and she ended up moving a few towns away, and the funny thing is, we still to this day, we're Facebook friends, and we still like talk, and like we sort of keep in touch, the way people do on Facebook, but we're not best friends like we were, but we were like inseparable best friends.
Yeah, she was around all the time.
Yeah. And she moved away, and her brother actually would make a point to come and find me whenever he was in town, because her grandparents still lived in town. He would make a point to come and find me, make sure that I had his sister's number, and make sure that I kept in touch with her. But we would always fall out of contact, and eventually we really fell out of contact because her brother, I think, actually went to prison or something. And
very sad.
Yeah, and so he stopped being able to, come in. But we ended up finding each other on Facebook, and now we're acquaintances. But literally with that friendship, it was just that she moved away, and I mean that was it. There was no way for us to really contact each other.
It was the 90s. Well, no, was it the 90s? Was it the 90s?
It was, yeah. I mean, it was the late 90s, early 2000s when her first kid was born.
Yeah.
Because it was right when it was right around the time that Joel and Shayna had Daniel. So that would have been like 99, right?
Yeah, that was 90. Yeah, I was in 5th grade, so yeah.
Yeah, because it was right before Haley was born. She was born in 2000. Um,
Yep.
But so that friendship, and then my friend Janet, her and I were super inseparable. Like she lived with me and everything. And what happened with
when Lyric wants to
that?
watch Blue's Clues, I think of Janet.
That's so funny. Well, what happened with Janet is she was a couple years older than me. I met her just by chance. I was babysitting and I was walking the kid around, like across from where we lived, and just kind of walking around with the kid to help her go to sleep in her stroller. And I ran into her and she asked if when I was done babysitting if I wanted to hang out. It was me and Jasmine actually. And we said sure. And we just kind of became inseparable. And we were inseparable for years because this was when I was 14 when I met her. And we did not stop being friends until I was probably, 18? It was around the time I started dating Ed. Basically what happened is I found out that she had been lying to me about virtually everything that she ever said to me, and I just kind of got fed up with it, and we just kind of stopped really hanging out. Her and the guy that she was dating had been dating for like 7 years, broke up, and he was my good friend, and she just kind of vanished for a while. And what's funny is I now take care of her niece and nephew every single day, or I guess 5 days a week for 10 hours a day. So for a while there, I reconnected with her because I would always see her at the parties, like birthday parties, Christmases, everything that I went to with this family, And then some stuff happened and she no longer is in contact with her sibling that is the parent to these kids. So
Yeah.
So her and I do not
Did
really
you,
talk.
Did you learn anything from that one?
Yeah, I learned that sometimes friends do lie.
Yeah. Yeah, they do.
Yeah, no, like honestly, she was probably my first experience in mental illness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because she definitely had some demons, and she definitely taught, but she also taught me how to embrace a lot of, like, not to worry so much about what people think, and not to, like she was a fun friend. Like her and I had a lot of fun.
Well, and she is a sweet person. She really is deep down.
Yes, she was a good friend. And she was even still to this day, she was not a bad friend to me, but she just has a lot of issues.
She's got stuff to work through for sure.
Exactly. And then another lost friendship is James, 100%.
Yeah. Oh,
because as much as I would love to say that James and I are still friends, I'm not allowed to speak to James. I am blocked on everything, and even though he's
still friends, you're allowed to be.
Yeah, exactly. James was my best guy friend from literally like 7th grade maybe, on until literally like last year or the year before. Like I am 40 years old, and me and him have been friends for longer than we haven't been. You know what I mean? Like just forever. And we would go back and forth. Like sometimes James and I would go years without talking, and he would suddenly find my phone number again and just call me out of the blue, and we'd talk for 6 months. Well, his wife has insecurity issues, so we're not allowed to speak. Yeah. So I still occasionally get, like, the last time he sent me a message was quite a while ago, but he sent me a message probably 3-4 months ago that just said, "Hey, how are you?" And then immediately blocked me again because he sent it to me at like 1 a.m. I was not awake, James. I get up at 6 a.m., dude. But he sent me, "Hey, how are you?" And I never got a chance to respond. So probably eventually I'll get another message from him, and he'll ask me how I'm doing, and maybe we'll talk again. But that's how it's always been.
I wonder what that was. Like, I wonder if that was just like him being like, I want her to know that I still care about how she's doing, but I don't. I can't actually speak. Like, so
no, that was his wife was at work, so he sent me a message. I was asleep. Okay. I didn't answer, and he blocked me before she got home from work. Like, that's how he used to do it all the time. He would send me a message. He would ask, we would talk for a couple hours, and then he would block me by morning because he had no choice. But this time I didn't answer because I wasn't awake.
Hey, so, I want to say, I know that people fall very different on this issue. Some people think, oh, that's disrespectful of a guy to like message a girl that his wife doesn't want him talking to, blah, 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 blah. All this stuff, like, you know?
Yeah.
But I think it's way more disrespectful for a woman to be like, you're not allowed to have friends who have a vagina.
Well,
like,
and here's the thing. James and I have never dated. We've never attempted to date. Like, we
never
don't
been like that with you guys.
We don't have that kind of relationship. He was the guy friend that I could sleep in the same bed as him anywhere we went, anytime we did anything, and I didn't ever have to worry about him trying anything, or like he was just my best friend. Like, he would call me up, and like back when he was still dating before he got married, he would call me up and tell me all sorts of stories about, you know, the last girl he went on a date with, and like he would tell me hilarious stories, and you know, I would tell him about whoever I was dating, and you know, he would tell me if he thought that they were worth it or if they were not. Okay, here's an example. When I was pregnant with my oldest child, his father, who is a great guy and a good father, but went through a moment of panic because he was like 19 years old and I was 20, and his parents were super not supportive of the whole situation. At first, they are now. They love their grandson, but at first they were not. And so the like Matthew's father and I were not together for most of my pregnancy, and James offered, because he didn't live in the same town as me. He lived kind of far away, but he offered to come move to where I lived. Okay, this is 100% not where I was supposed to go. I saw the thing and I was trying to go to a different hole. Anyway, he offered to come move in with me and platonically raise my baby together.
Yeah.
And
it would have totally platonically too.
Yeah, it would have been totally platonically. And I told him no. And the reason that I told him no is because he had a son already that lived in the town that he lived in, and I didn't want him to leave his kid to come raise my kid. Granted, he still would have been able to see his kid, but that just didn't feel right to me for him to do that. But, like, if I had said yes, it would have been great. Like, we could have platonically raised the shit out of that kid. And we would have gotten along great because, like, even when him and I have talked in recent years, we've joked around about, because my husband, when I was still married, my husband's quite a bit older than me. He's 14 years older than me. So I used to joke around that, you know, obviously he was going to die before me because he was so much older than me. And we used to joke around about going and retiring together in Florida, and, like, living together platonically on the beach. Because we knew that neither one of us would want to get remarried if, you know, our spouses died or we divorced them or whatever. And we knew that we could live with each other platonically without either one of us trying to get with each other.
Yeah.
And that was, like, that's been our joke for years, that someday we're going to go live on a beach in Florida together. And what's funny is he doesn't even know I'm divorced. He has no idea what happened. He doesn't know any of it.
Yeah, because he's not allowed to talk to me.
Because he's not allowed to talk to me.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy to me because he was the first person that I told when Bob had an affair.
Yeah.
James was the first person that I told. He was the one that talked me into not divorcing him.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, he sat me down and was like, listen, you know, I know that you're angry and I know that you're mad, and, you know, let me give you a guy's perspective, and, you know, if he's willing to stay, you know, maybe, you know, just like literally talked me into not getting divorced. And
James.
I know.
Don't do that.
Oh, he regretted that later. He apologized for that one. He was like, I probably shouldn't have done that. I didn't realize what a terrible person he actually was. I was like, well.
Oh, that was weird. We just bounced.
But yeah, so he's one of my best friends, but I'm not allowed to talk to him. So that's a lost friendship that that one bums me out because that's my bestie and I love him. Then there was a brief time where my best friend Brenda and I were not friends. And this one is actually kind of devastating because we had been friends, again, since basically like the summer that my dad died. That's basically when I became friends with, aside from my best friend Jen, who has been my best friend for more than 30 years, since I was 8 years old, and will be my best friend forever. She is the only person that I never had like a lost friendship situation. She's always been my best friend. I don't know where we go on this
Me
one.
either.
I have no
I'm trying
fucking
really
clue.
hard to figure it out.
Oh, I think I just figured it out. But me and my best friend Brenda, I have lots of best friends. I use that word sparingly. Like, I have lots of best friends, just so you know. They're all the people that have always been in my life and have always been my good friends.
Same.
Yep. Yeah, we're not, we're pretty liberal with our best friendships in our family. Here we go. This is where we go. But anyway, my best friend Brenda and I became like good friends when I was younger. And like we, you know, in high school, like, you know, we hung out, but then, you know, she had her boyfriend that she'd been with for like a really long time. It's her first daughter's dad. But then her and I kind of lost touch. Like, we never stopped being friends, but, you know, again, age of no cell phones. So, you know, she had moved in with a boyfriend that lived kind of far away. That was the first time that she dated Michael when they moved to Mount Clemens. And so I hadn't seen her in a while. Well, then she came back, and she had gotten back with her ex from high school.
What?
Oh, no, we're all done.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna need a part 3. I'll tell you this story because it's kind of a long one. So I'm going to let me pause real quick, Al.
Okay.
All right, guys. Sorry that I'm cutting myself off mid-story, but that just means you'll have to watch the next video. So like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned to hear about this lost friendship.